Hello, welcome to Board Games with Niramas. I'm Joseph, or Niramas, and I'm here today with Draco. And he's so excited for his Christmas suit. He just loves it. I think he looks so cute in it. He even has like a little buckle here on the back with silver and all that. Yeah, he just loves it. He's so happy. And yeah, it's time to do the top 10 games of 2018. Now this has been harder than earlier years actually, because, well, as I talked about before, most of the games in a year, they come out at Essen Spiel late October. You come home, you're really tired, and it's November. It's getting dark in Sweden. My energy levels go down, but I try to play a bunch of games anyway. But yeah, I sort of got stuck at one of these, especially. I played a lot, and that has also sort of delayed some of the other ones. Last week I was also really sick. You might hear it still in my voice, a bit affected, but I hope that you can hear me okay. But yeah, it's been some things that has come between me and gaming. So some games haven't been played that I was hoping to play before the end of the year. Well, a bunch of them actually were here in my shelves. I have a bunch in Shrink and a bunch that I did unboxings for, but I haven't gotten around to play them yet. So this list is sort of a, I played almost 30 games that came out this year, but I have 20 more or something that I want to play. So as I done before in earlier years, in a week I'll do another one of these where I talk about the games that I haven't played yet, but that I'm excited for. So that kind of helps you out a bit, because you might wonder, why isn't this or that game on this list? Well, it's probably because I haven't played them, or maybe I don't like them that much that you do. We all have different tastes, right? So anyhow, let's get started with number 10. And number 10 is a small game. Some people really dislike this one. Some people really love it. I'm sort of in between, but I'm leaning towards loving it. And it's called The Mind. So The Mind came out pretty early this year, and I had so much fun with this one. This is a really simple game. It's just a deck of cards from 1 to 100. All you do basically is put these cards out in the proper order. But the funny thing about it is you can't talk to each other. It's all about the mind. You have to sort of try to feel and figure out when is the right time for me to put down my number. If I have like a 25 and you're putting them out from 1 to 100, then let's say the card on the table is a 10, I have 25. It's 15 numbers in between, right, or 14. It's kind of hard for me to know if you're sitting there with 22. How are we going to sort of, without communicating, how are we going to... I have to sort of feel that, well, I should wait a little bit, and maybe you're starting to feel that, yeah, maybe it's time for me to put it down. You put down to 22, I put down to 25, and that's an awesome feeling when you get those numbers right, and it happens. It's almost like magic. You get this sort of, everybody's quiet at the table, but you're starting to sort of feel out where you are. It's not just reading people, it's also about sort of mathematical probability, because, well, of course, if I have number 50 and there's a bunch of cards out and it's number 10 on the table, then the odds are that I shouldn't put it down, because it should be low numbers between 10 and 50 in between that the other player has. So much fun with this one. I just love it. The Mind, my number 10. Alright, so my number 9, and this is a bit special. I wouldn't usually do this because it feels like cheating a lot, but I haven't played this game in physical form. I got it as an app, and it's exactly the same as the physical game, and I only played it solo, so you can play it solo on the app. It's the same game, but of course I wouldn't normally do this. It's just that I think this game is just so much fun, and I am going to pick it up. I haven't seen it in the stores yet, in Sweden at least, but I'm going to pick it up and play it. And it's called Gumption Clever, and this is it's German title, so I don't even know what that means really. But it's a roll and write, where there's really good system of when you roll and how you fill in these numbers, that you pick a die and you fill in a number, and it's just a solitary game basically, but you can play it with other people as well. But where you sort of try to, there's different rules from the different colors of dice. So for some of them you want to make lines, for some of them you have to go higher each time, for some of them there's different rules, and it all adds together to get you the most score, and they trigger off each other. So the blue dice will eventually get you a bonus of filling in one of the yellow spaces, and vice versa, and you keep doing that, which is really fun to find those combos. And I think I played this, I don't know, 50 times or something on my mobile phone because I had so much fun with it, just playing over and over again. So I really wanted to include it on this list and recommend it. It's Gumption Clever. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but you have the text down here and so on. So my number 8 is a game called Newton. And I wasn't that excited about Newton at first because I watched a playthrough from Tabletop Games, a really good playthrough. You should go check it out if you haven't. Tabletop Games Newton. Anyhow, when I watched their playthrough, I sort of it felt so weird to me how the mechanisms of the game and how it fit together with this theme, which I really enjoy. I really like the idea of a scientific historical theme about Newton and how to do discoveries and so on. But it just something that just felt so weird with the board and everything. And then I played it after Essen. I saw a demo of it at Essen as well. I have a video on that as well. You can check out on the channel. But then I played it, and I think it's perfect for me in that way that it's really a solitaire game, really Euro stuff. You have a certain amount of actions during the game and each round, and you're trying to find the right combo to do things. Yeah, just a classical, if I do this, that will lead to that, which will lead to this, and so on and so on. But it has an interesting thing as well. It's card play, so you play a card to do a certain action. And you have starting hand of cards, but at the end of each round or each year, you will have to get rid of one of those and put it under your board. But you still get the bonus you still can use it together with another card later on, but you can't play it to do that action, which was a bit tricky for me because I ended up in the end of the game when I first played it being stuck, not being able to do what I wanted to do. Really cool stuff, and I really like the theme. It's so refreshing to have one of those themes in a board game. I really like historical themes as well. When it's not economic, I don't like when you're building just trains and all that. It's just so boring. Or stocks and all that stuff. But if it's about science, if it's about these discoveries, traveling the world, I like the stuff. So Newton is my number 8. And my number 7 is another game where you sort of do things that will lead to other things. I think the theme, the red line of all of these are combos, like combo wombo. You do one thing that leads to another thing that leads to a third thing. I just love that in games. That's why I like Euro games, basically. It's not just Euro games on here, but anyhow. So my number 7 is called Gizmos, and in Gizmos it's a pure engine building game. There's not much theme at all, but you sort of build a gizmo machine of sorts. You have a really cool gimmick as well. So you have this cardboard tower with marbles in different colors in them. As they fall out and as you dig in there, you get different marbles that will let you buy different new things for your gizmo that you're building. And one thing will trigger another thing that will trigger. Yeah, it's just a super combo game. And it's really short as well. It's like 30 minutes, which I like. So you can get this whole combo feeling, the engine building feeling. You can try out different strategies every time you play. See what sort of how to get the most points, how to build the perfect engine, the perfect gizmo. So that is my number 7, Gizmos. And we're up to number 6, which is another Euro called Coimbra. And Coimbra was my most anticipated game from Spiel this year. I was so excited for it, and I didn't even pick it up when I was down there because one of my friends did, and so on. There was so many games, and I was so tired, and somehow in that mix, Coimbra got lost. But then it showed up in the stores in Sweden, so I picked up a copy right away from Alara Games, of course. And yeah, Coimbra is such a cool game. It's a dice drafting game where you roll these dice, you take turns drafting a die, and the die that you will also do some worker placement with the die. And then, depending on the number, you will go sort of in order to grab one of these cards you can buy cards that will help your engine out, help you out getting you special effects or one-time bonuses. And then you have an income phase where, depending on which color of the die you chose earlier on, now you're going to get an income of money or of these soldiers or moving around the map. You have a map that you move on to get bonuses as well. So much fun stuff, and there's also a lot of combo in this one as well, where you where you can plan ahead to do something that will lead you to do something else, which I just love that. It's so satisfying when you find these combos and you find the right way to do things to get to where you want to go. So yeah, Coimbra is really cool, and I really like the artwork on this one, and the colors and all the feeling in the game. It's not that much theme really. You're in Portugal, managing some harbor and so on, but yeah, you're going on like discoveries as well. But it's just a card basically. But anyhow, the mechanisms of the game are so good. Coimbra is my number 6. And for number 5, it's another Euro. This one is a bit heavier than the previous ones. This is called Teotihuacan. Kind of hard to pronounce. Took me a while to practice that, but there was so much talk about it before Essen that I got into it. Anyhow, the gameplay is it sort of reminds me a little bit about Solkin. It's the same designers, partly at least. And you're moving, it's a rondel game where you're moving around the board with your dice, basically that's your workers. And the dice will, when they do actions, they land on something, will do an action. When you do that action, the dice will level up. When it gets to 6, it will sort of go to Nirvana or whatever, be enlightened, and then you lose it, but you get a bonus instead, and you can get a new die and so on. Well, you don't lose it, it goes back to the start, sort of. But anyhow, there's so much combos in this game as well. You're trying to, in the middle of the board, you're trying to build this pyramid, this Aztec pyramid, with different steps and different combos on how you place those tiles. Really big chunky tiles that you place to build the pyramid. Really cool stuff. You have a combination of the buildings that are outside that you move around on. Well, some will give you resources, some will let you use the resources to get points or to get sort of bonuses and technologies that will help you out later on in the game. There's so many combos in this game and so much fun. I haven't played it that much yet, but I'm going to play it a lot, I think, in the future. So I can really recommend Teotihuacan. That is my number 5. And so number 4, and a little break to the whole Euro combo thing. There's some Euro stuff in here as well, but this game is called Rising Sun. Rising Sun is a Japanese themed game about trying to conquer different areas of Japan. It's area control in many ways. You have these big, really cool miniatures. Draco loves them, even though they're a bit scary, some of them. But he likes the dragons and so on. Really cool miniatures. You move around on the map, you're fighting each other, trying to take control over different areas. Two things I really like about this game. One is that the mechanism to do all these things are sort of drafting of tiles that are decrees that determines what everybody will do at that round. So when it's my turn, I have a stack of 4 of these decrees. I can look through them. I choose one, and that goes to everybody. If I choose March, which is to move your troops around, then everybody's going to do that. But me and my ally, if I have an ally, because you can have allies, you can break the alliances and so on, then we get a bonus as well. We can march and do something else. And that goes for all the actions. You have some sort of bonus for being, for when you select it, or if your ally selected and you're allied. And I thought at first that this game would be about a lot about backstabbing and breaking alliances, but it's not really. It happens sometimes, but it's not that often, and a lot of times it's sort of beneficial for both to break the alliance, to do the betrayal action. It's actually an action to do it. I like that it's not something outside of the game that we're sitting here, like in Game of Thrones or other games where you're sitting doing deals outside of the game mechanisms. I like that it's a part of the game that you can make an alliance. It's also part of the game that you can break that alliance, and that has effects as well. So it's a really cool game. The second thing I really like about it is that you can't just turtle up. You can't just hold one part of the map, because it's a set collection. So every round, if I'm in control of a certain part of the map, I will get like a tile saying, yeah, I took control of that. Then I need to move, because in the next round there's no point for me in standing there and just taking the same place again. So I need to move around, especially maybe coordinating with my ally. Like if I go there, then you can take this one. And then you might not have that ally the next round, because you get new alliances if you want to every round. Really nice stuff, really looks great on the table. I just love the miniatures, I love the presence of the game, the feeling, the thematic feeling of these scary monsters coming in, and I really like how sort of base troops are, you know, standard miniatures, and then you have these really huge monsters, really cool stuff. Really like that one, Rising Sun. That is my number 4. And my number 3. My number 3 is back to the Euro scene again, and this is a bit special in that way as well. It's called Gugong. And Gugong is a game about sort of ancient China, and you're trying to... You do actions by trading gifts with the board, basically. The board has cards on it in different numbers, and you put out one of the cards that you have in your hand, and then you take up the card that was on the board and you put it in your discard. And the number of cards you have in your hand is also the number of actions you will do during a round. And there's a bunch of different actions you can do. There's many ways to get points, and sort of you also have workers, or servants as they're called, but you're not placing them directly, you're using them to pay for different actions. And you can find really nice combos in this game as well, where you do things that leads to another thing. You can go into technology that will let you have an income every round that the other players might not have, and so on. And of course there's endgame goals that you can go for to get a lot of points. And yeah, it's just so beautiful, and especially the deluxe version is just awesome for this one. Gugong, that is my number 3. And so my number 2 is a game that I never expected to be on one of my top 10 lists. I never expected it to be... I didn't even expect to play it, to like it, but I did. It's called Keyforge. Keyforge is just such a great fun game. It's a 2-player game with you playing cards to sort of, well, not fight your opponent. You're finding your opponent's creatures out on the board. You can also reap to get amber, and with the amber you can build a key or forge a key. And you need the first player to forge 3 keys has won the game. And I'm just totally in love with this game. I picked up everything I could for it, so I have all the stuff. I got myself a card, you know, a bag that I can carry all the cards in. I got the player mat. Wow, I just love this game so much. Keyforge is just so awesome. The thing about this game is that there's no pre-building of decks. You're not sitting at home and trying to put together cards and build a deck. And that's so nice, because I hate that stuff. I don't like that. I don't like, you know, Magic or Versus System, or those games where you're sitting and trying to build a deck before you start playing. I don't find that fun at all. But in this game, you buy a deck of cards, 37 cards, and that's it. You play with those cards. You can't ever change that deck. And I just love that. Oh yeah, I should also mention that every deck is unique. So you buy a deck and nobody else has exactly that combination of cards in the deck. And then you can play with it. You can buy another deck and try out different combos and so on. Because all the cards are divided into 7 different houses or factions. And in every deck you have 3 of those houses. And as it is your turn, there's no cost to playing a card, which is also something I love. There's no cost to playing the card, but you have to choose one house, one of the 3 that you have, and then you can activate everything with that house. You can play cards from your hand, you can activate cards that you have out on the board, and you can even discard cards, because at the end of your turn you will draw back up to 6 or even more cards, or less cards sometimes. And that means that you have this system where you might have a bunch of good cards out on the board, good creatures that could be fighting your opponents and so on. But you also have good cards on your hand, and they are from different houses, so you have to choose. Do you want to play those good cards that you have in hand, or do you want to activate the creatures that are out there? Maybe your opponent will wipe them away from the board before it's your next turn, so maybe you should play them right now. But maybe you should play the cards that you have in your hand, because they can wipe out his creatures. So much fun stuff in this, so many decisions, and I really love the hand management and the card play and all that. And I like the streamlined nature of it. I don't have to... I mean, it takes 10 minutes to teach someone. You can't do that with mostly these collectible card games. So my number 2 is Keyforge. Really good stuff. And number 1 of 2018, my favorite game from this year. And this game even made it... I played this early in the year. It's sort of in the summer, I think, when it came from Kickstarter. So it actually made it into my top 100 as well. The other ones, I think... No, I don't think any of the other ones. Maybe the Mind. But the other ones didn't make it into the top 100 because they came out after Essen. But this one came out earlier, and it's so awesome. It's called Endeavor Age of Sail. This is a reprint or sort of a second edition of Endeavor. I never played that one, but I heard so many things about it. It was like out of print for years, and people were talking about it like a holy grail to get that game. And yeah, in Endeavor, you have a map of the world. It's a bit weird map, but anyhow. And you're going to out colonize. You start in Europe. You're gonna colonize these different areas around the world, and you build every round. You build a building on your player board, and then you can activate these buildings with your workers, basically your discs, to do different actions out on the map. You can sail, you can colonize, and so on. And I actually like this game a lot in a 2-player mode, because then you have a dummy player, which is something I usually don't like that much, but this dummy player is active. So if I do a sail action, then I choose, the dummy player will do a sail action as well, but I choose where the dummy player sails. As it's a 2-player game in that sense, I'm going to put the dummy player in such a way that it harms my opponent. And that's really fun, the whole tactical aspect there. I also played it with 3 and 4 and 5 players. I enjoyed it with all player counts. I mean, it's so much fun, and the map is 2-sided, so if you play with more players, you have more places to place as well. There's some player interaction where you take over, you have a cannon, you can take over the other players' places, but it usually just happens at the end of the game, and it doesn't affect the game that much. But the interaction of just blocking each other is just fun. And also, I should say that this game, I played it with the deluxe version from Kickstarter, which is really awesome, really good production. But it's good anyhow, even with the basic set as well. So the same goes for Gogong. If you can, you should grab the deluxe version of those 2 games, because they are awesome. But in Endeavor, you also have this, and this is new for the 2nd edition. It wasn't in the base game or in the 1st edition. Is that you have these exploits, as they are called. You have a bunch of these thick tiles. You mix them up, you put out 3 every time you play, and they will affect the game a lot, because once you start opening up continents, when you sail around the world, then you will also be able to get into these exploit tiles and get some special abilities and so on. And the theme is not really that exciting for me. I think the theme in some ways is a bit downer for the game, because like colonizing the world as a European and all that, you can even have slavery going as well. But the thing is, the game fixed it in a good way, because you can also work on abolishing slavery. You can get rid of it, and if one of the other players, or many of them, are into slavery, then they will get punished for it. So that's a good twist to it as well, I think, because I don't really like that kind of themes normally. But in this game, I mean, it's just so much fun, and the mechanisms are just so good. Wow, so much fun stuff in this game. I really can recommend Endeavor Age of Sail, and that's my number 1. And this was the list for 2018. As I said, I would love to play more games before I sat down to do this, but I wanted to do it before the end of the year. So, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, one of these games has taken up a lot of my time, and as you might imagine, it's Keyforge number 2. Played Keyforge a lot. I think I played it almost 50 times now, live, and then sometimes online as well. And I had so much fun with that, and I've done unboxings and all that on the channel as well, and I just love that game. But I love all of these games. They all fit different types of needs, or a bunch of them are pretty similar in the way how they work, but at the same time they're different in the themes and in how to do these different combos and activate the things that will lead to other things and all that. So this was the list. In a few days there will be the top 10 expansions of 2018. I'm looking forward to doing that one as well. I hope that you will check it out. And also the week after that we will do top 10 games from 2018 that I haven't played yet, but I want to play. So a lot of sitting in front of the camera now for me, which is a bit unusual for me. Usually I sit on the other side and show you the games, but yeah, it's that kind of time of year. It's that kind of videos right now that I want to get out here before the year ends, and I think it's fun to have this repeating every year, these top 10 games, top 10 expansions from the year. Top 10 expansions is actually new for me. I haven't done that before, but I thought it was time now, because I played so many good expansions this year. I'm almost in some ways more excited for those than I am for the new games. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I think Draco is happy for all the support for the channel as well. And don't miss the top 100 games of all time as well. If you like these types of lists, go check that out as well on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening or morning, or whenever you're watching this. Take care. Bye bye.
Be like Draco. Follow Board Games with Niramas on Facebook at BGW Niramas. Board Games with Niramas is sponsored by Alara Games in Sweden.